What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Good Anime Palette Podcast. This is episode number 71. We are recording, actually, this time around in a new setting, another relocation, but a rather permanent relocation for the time being. I am your co-host, Jason, and across from me, starry-eyed, wide-eyed, slanted-eyed, just kidding, it is Will.
Racist. That is a powerful intro. Goddamn. Wow, you really have to talk about my slanted eyes. I don't have that. My eyes are not slanted.
I mean, we're both both Asian, so
we're both full pupiled human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe this is like crossing the line and being a bit like personal,
What,
but
I mean, like crossing the line. Right
no.
here? Yeah.
Oh wow! Thank God we are not doing video, or at least not yet. But I can't believe we'll. Okay.
Yeah.
Touche. You know.
So
you do the double eyes lid. You know, people.
Oh.
We have friends who have. I've definitely have friends who have done the double eyelid surgery. I know that's a very Asian specific thing.
Oh no, I have a lot of friends who've done the eyelid surgery, but that's like the most they do. Like, I mean, I don't know too many friends that have gone through like full blown like modification surgery and whatnot. But again, if you feel like you want to do it, I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't judge whatsoever.
I just think like of all of like the more like plastic surgery, or they call it now reconstruction surgery.
I feel it's the least invasive one.
Yeah, for sure, and the most common one that you hear about because a lot of people like double eyelids.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, we are finally now recording in a much more permanent studio. It's been a long time coming. Over the last 3 years, we've recorded in various locations around Hong Kong, and now we actually have a dedicated spot where we can just set up our equipment, leave it there, and not have to worry about putting it away, setting it back up again, changing the settings and all that. No.
But why is that, Will?
Why is that? What do you mean, why is that?
Because we are now recording in my new place I moved out. So that's why it's now permanent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rather than using my apartment, which unfortunately I have to share with somebody. Yeah. I would love to. Okay. So just to sort of let everyone know, I am in a long-term relationship. I'm actually about to get married. So things are getting real hot and heavy in my household. But that also means that I got to do a little compromising with how the apartment is. So when we first moved into our place, I wanted the study to essentially be like a board game / podcast room, a little den of men. No, my fiance was not cool with that at all. So it's now just a proper study. So, yeah, that's why it was a little bit hard to have it as a permanent setup because we didn't want to have like the microphone arms and the sound card and everything just permanently sitting there because it actually took a fair amount of space. But now it's probably a lot more easy just to have everything laid out and just no need to tinker with anything anymore.
Plus, I think one of the benefits of like the new setup and similar to our old first setup at the office space was the fact that we can like stare into each other's eyes. Because at your apartment, like not throwing shade, because it was
hard to have it like a little island, you know what I mean, where like, we actually sit across from each other. We had to kind of just face the wall and turn to the side just to be able to record.
And that's what we ended up doing. So I mean, it was a compromise for the situation.
Yeah, it worked out for a whole year.
Yeah, it was great. It was great, honestly. So.
Actually, shit, yeah, I just realized we've been recording at that place for a whole year now. And
Bro,
yeah.
We're almost on the 3-year anniversary, and we moved how many times? We're 3 locations? It's kind of weird.
We recorded at my old office. We recorded at my parents' place when I was still living there. Then we recorded
during COVID. That's right. COVID. Okay, so that's 4 times. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And we recorded all over. Did we ever record at your parents' place?
Nope.
We might have just done like a lot of like pre-planning and a lot of scripting and all that.
It would be remote work if we did like anything related.
Actually, yeah, I recorded with you like a couple times like out in Canada.
Yeah.
That was actually kind of hard.
What was it? You were in the basement at like 5 a.m.
I was actually on the roof, like in the attic.
That's ideal podcast.
But it was also like cold as shit. It was like dead of winter.
Yeah, because it's fucking Canada, bro.
Toronto too, dude. It was like no, like more north of actual like the GTA. I was up in like Richmond Hill.
Like the kind of situations where when you drive you have to put fucking chains on your wheels type scenario.
You have to sit in your car and like wait 30 minutes to defrost your windows. Otherwise, like you are literally a hazard on the road. That kind of thing. I mean, you lived up in like like the Northeast, like New England before. Like the winters must have been fucking brutal up there too.
My sophomore year at high school had a world record. I mean, not world record, like record-breaking 10-minute frostbite warning, and I did not understand or understood the situation of how dire it was, because just walking from like one building to the next, I dramatically underestimated. Like, oh, I wasn't wearing gloves, and everyone looked at me like, dude, like it's 10-minute frostbite warning. I'm just like, but from one building to another is like less than 10 minutes. I was like naive and stupid like that.
How many snow days did you have when you were in New England?
None.
None, really.
because they're all fucking used to it.
That's
bro.
true. No, yeah, actually, so like it was like I'm not sure how real it is, but there was like a couple reports of like schools now when there were snow days, they didn't cancel school because of the fact that now you could just remotely tap into a Zoom or Google Meet and go to class that way. A lot of kids
Shit out of luck, bro.
I mean, it's the same with all office workers now, right? Like when it was COVID, or if there was like, for example, here in Hong Kong, when you have like a black rain or like a typhoon.
Which happened to us a couple of weeks, a couple of months, right?
Yeah, you would just work from home. So there was no day off. Of course, you're not supposed to have a day off, but it's like when you have like natural rainstorms or just, hurricanes and whatnot, a lot of stuff gets like, put on hold. The problem is a lot of jobs in Hong Kong are kind of tied to the stock market. And, there are certain individuals that don't want the market to close. So there's some weird fuckery down the South China Sea that disperses all the rain right before the week starts, and then your weekend's ruined, but you're fine to go to work on Monday.
Yeah, but the monolith doesn't care.
Exactly.
I mean, didn't they had like that movie poster of that Typhoon 10 afterwards where people was like, oh, well, you found gong or something like that. It's like it's like very dramatic, like end of the apocalypse, but I still have to go back to work. Like that's like the Asian or the Hong Kong mentality. Speaking of, real quick, guys, our setup has not fully like been settled in, so you might hear some background noise, but that will dissipate over the other few recordings. But just FYI, there will be a bit of like traffic noise and whatnot.
You just gotta buy more stuff. That's it, man. You just gotta buy more board games. Gotta buy more podcast equipment. Maybe you get a couple more like ladders. There's one right behind you.
Yes, there is. But now it's time to climb out of our segues and rambles and go into the main discussion topic this time around, which is to give thanks. Because, we thought, hey, it's almost Thanksgiving in America, and you miss a lot of Thanksgiving traditions. So why not, when we spend a lot of time, rightfully, in my opinion, criticizing the industry, analyzing it with a fine-tooth comb, but there's always good stuff. There's always things that, on the flip side, that we tend to forget or take for granted. So I thought we would take the opportunity this time around to give thanks to what anime and manga has given us and will give us in the future.
Yeah, we've been pretty critical of anime, not specifically just anime, but the industry behind it as well.
Production committee.
So it's about time that we do a complete 180 and just be a little bit more nicer to the industry, to the medium, and everything that's connected to it.
Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya, right?
Yes.
Okay, but before we get into main discussion topic, we do have some news stories that I think are rather interesting.
Some really heavy ones. Which one do you want to start with, actually?
Take your pick. We had the 4.
Should we just do the big fucking monopoly?
Yeah, sure.
Because what would be a GAP podcast news section without talking about a company being bought out by a fucking monolith? Disney is going to be acquiring Comcast's remaining stake in Hulu for roughly $8.6 billion US. So for people who have been using Disney Plus or Hulu, you might have seen that, other than just getting Disney Plus, you could also add a couple dollars per month and also get access to Hulu content. And it's because of the fact that Disney Plus did have a pretty big stake in Hulu from Comcast. Now what they've done is gone ahead and bought the remaining 33% of their stake. So now they fully own the entirety of the streaming service. Now, what does that mean for anime streaming specifically? Not all that much. There's not a whole lot of content that's anime specific on Hulu or Disney Plus, but recently Disney Plus has been like adding more to their catalog. So I don't remember which ones they had, but yeah, you should be expecting. It's kind of like the early days of Netflix when you would see a lot of stuff come out on Crunchyroll, and then maybe like a few months afterwards, then Netflix would be able to get it.
Wait, Disney Plus has probably 2 of your favorite series this year, though.
Yeah.
So I do think someone there is really making very strategic like licensing choices. So that's very interesting. Of course, Hulu and Disney Plus offers a catalog of anime titles, but it is rather bare bones compared to all of the other platforms that you would do or would pursue, whether it's Netflix or Crunchyroll. So I think it's one of those where, I have Disney Plus anyways, and now it's kind of integrated now with Hulu. I think Hulu and Disney had like some sort of tentative connection previously, and now it's obviously way more ingrained into each other. But with Hulu, I think they're okay from an anime perspective in terms of what they offer. I do think, though, Disney Plus has the extra benefit, at least with like Heavenly Delusions and Summertime Render, of like having English dubs released pretty soon, if not simuldub in the past. So, it is like an interesting like paradigm shift nonetheless, because Disney is now fucking huge.
Yeah. So when you were saying very bare bones in terms of the anime catalog for Disney Plus, there are currently only 5 titles on there that are like anime specifically. Tokyo Revengers. Interestingly, I didn't actually realize they were on there.
Okay.
Heavenly Delusions. Fucking amazing. Summertime Rendering. Still on there.
Okay, let me guess the last 2.
You probably won't be able to guess them at all.
Bleach?
No. They're okay. One is a massive Disney franchise.
Anime?
Yes. Remember, this is a massive Disney franchise that also does do a couple of anime shorts.
Kingdom Hearts?
No.
Okay, tell me.
You hate this franchise.
Well, okay. What is it?
Star Wars. Star Wars Visions.
Okay. To be fair, Star Wars Vision, that anthology series, I heard a lot of positive things, and I don't hate Star Wars. I just don't necessarily care about it that much.
The other one that they have is called Synduality Noir.
Oh my god, I know that. Oh Jesus, isn't that the boy band one?
The year is 2242. Kanata, an aspiring drifter, meets Noir, a magus with no memories. That's just basically it. Just uncovering the past of some random husk of a human robot. Who knows? This is just basically Ghost in the Shell.
But pretty boys.
I mean, there's a pretty girl. Is that a girl or boy? I don't know.
I don't know. I just heard the name. That's it.
Yeah. So I think what we have here is essentially just par for the course. Disney being the biggest media platform in the world. I think that this shouldn't come to no surprise in terms of them being able to acquire the rest of Hulu. There hasn't been too much change in terms of like what their subscription plans and their prices will be, but I think they may be adding like a couple dollars. I think it's like from the ad-free tier goes from like $10.99 US through to $13.99, which changed
$14.99 to $17.99.
Yeah, that's the ad-free tier for
Hulu. Yeah.
You get the whole bundle though for $19.99.
It's kind of a no-brainer, and I think it's kind of those price
Well, you say no-brainer in terms of like using it as a streaming platform, but if you wanted to go still like anime specific,
then, sure.
Yeah, we've talked about this before.
Absolutely,
this is still something that is like new ground for Disney Plus. Who knows? Maybe in a year or two, you're going to start seeing them actually picking up more studios, more licensing rights. It could be a lot more. It could make a lot more sense if you were to use Disney Plus. But for now, I still think Netflix and Crunchyroll, you got everything covered there.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where when Netflix anime, quote unquote, first started with like Violet Evergarden and stuff, everyone was just like, oh, it's kind of cool. Oh, you did get like a couple of like exclusives. And then everyone was just like, let's see how it goes. Then years later, holy shit, it's kind of like a staple.
Yeah.
So Disney has that reach. Come on.
Netflix, Crunchyroll, for the time being, still the way to go. You got an extra $5 a month, then add High Dive in there if you care for it. I mean, of course, they've got some pretty damn good exclusives too, so why not? Now, speaking about wholly owning studios and networks and platforms, we got another major acquisition coming down as well. Kadokawa aims to establish more wholly owned studios focused on anime. So they reported their earnings, their quarterly earnings, actually back in September 30th. And during that report, they had mentioned that there has been a plan to establish more wholly owned anime studios under its corporate group umbrella. So they already are a major owner in a few anime studios like Engai, ENGI, all capitalized essentially, and the other one being Kinema Citrus. So they've got quite a few things already going on. They also established their own studio, Studio Kadan, with a 97.5 investment back in June of 2021.
So pretty much all of it.
Yeah. However, I think for them, because of how much money they've been making, and they can see that there's been a lot of growth in this particular sector for them, they've been trying to get more 100% wholly owned anime studios. So it added Rising Bull, which is a high-end studio, and they brought along the director of Eureka 7, Tomoki Kyoda.
You like Eureka 7 a lot.
I really love.
It's a really old anime, but it's one of those where...
2005, I think it was, 50 episodes. It was quite long to watch. It was a very much slow burn the first, 2 curves, which is crazy to say. It's like, who the fuck would want to sit around for 2 curves and be like, this is gonna get good, right?
Wait, Clanad says hello, though.
Yeah.
I mean, modern, when I mean by modern animes, I mean, maybe in the last 10 years, no one really does, a double curve build-up.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to swallow, right?
So with this particular news, it sounds like another thing, but at the same time, the main crux of this is actually not the acquisitions itself, but rather the plans for the coming years for Kadokawa. So they've been planning to invest in more anime titles. So far this year, they've been looking to do around 40 or more per year, but only 5 of those are produced in-house. So what they're trying to do is trying to push it up to around maybe 50% of them being produced in-house, but also increase the amount of seasons and episodes per anime title. Now, the last sentence is very important, and one that we probably want to spend a little time dissecting.
I think we would spend a lot of time talking about these news stories. So it is interesting because when you have essentially kind of like a commission of getting an outside studio to do your anime production or adaptation versus doing something in-house, has both pros and cons. And this was something that we didn't really touch on because it's not really related to, for example, our After Dark where we talk about production committees, nor is it about the animation production process, which we did way back, the first, I think episode 8 or something. But this is, what is your take on the pros and cons of a wholly owned in-house versus a third-party commission or studio?
The main thing is essentially getting more creative control over your product, and especially if it's you're trying to endorse, advertise, and push out the products to come under your corporate umbrella.
And Kadokawa is has a shit ton of light novels and mangas under his belt because they are a publishing company.
So you would imagine as well then it's for example, they own Kinema Citrus, right? Mm-hmm. So if they were then to be a lot more hands-on with, say, for example, Rising of the Shield Hero, now we've covered the sort of roller coaster experience that people have had in terms of watching seasons 1 through 3 so far. I mean, 3 is still ongoing right now, right?
Yes, correct.
But we've already talked about how you've experienced highs and unfortunately massive lows of the history of the anime adaptation for Rising of the Shield Hero. Imagine they come in now. It's you know what? No, this time around we actually want to make it right, and we want to make sure that if we're producing this, that is the best quality possible, given the resources that we're putting into it. Now, again, we've talked about the production committee process behind things. It's not always that black and white, but I think it makes sense that a studio or a corporation would want to make sure that they do all the quality assurance necessary to be able to, have a good product come out.
Yeah, and having it in-house provides, I guess, some sort of budget streamlining, as well as when you have everything in-house, it's kind of like you're on the same team. So, okay, maybe using the analogy of a building. So the Kadokawa building, you are all on different floors, different anime studios on different floors, but you all are interwoven in the same building. There might be cross-pollination or co-productions, but not officially, but hey, you are another in-house. You should talk to them. They know this part better. And since it's kind of all under this corporate umbrella, you can just ask them how to do something and whatnot. I can see that happening and never being mentioned, right?
Yeah. One thing I think people might be wary of is how, politics would then play into it as well. Now, we don't really want to go deep into it because, again, it's a lot of speculation.
Absolutely.
We don't know, of course, like how the corporate structure would affect the sort of, dynamics of working with a third party as opposed to working with someone that's literally under your foot.
But I could definitively say it would be affected, whether positive or negative, how much, how little. There would be, there would be an effect nonetheless. But let's talk to actually the other thing is the work output. So 40 anime titles per year. That sounds a lot, but you have to know that Kadokawa makes a lot of anime productions per year with multiple studios. So it's not one studio. Even if you consider this new in-house structure, it's not one studio, it's more like 5 or 6 because we just name dropped a bunch.
Yeah,
and they would make 40 in a year.
Like, more often than not, you would see like a production like credit for Kadokawa somewhere in like the opening credits or the ending credits, right?
Yeah, just think of it like Aniplex, like that level of like acknowledgement at the very least. But
I think the most interesting one though, which is legitimately, I think the most like kind of there will be a lot of tension points.
Yep.
Increasing the amount of seasons and episodes per anime title. Now,
absolutely.
That one, like, what the hell does that mean? Like, are we talking about like for them going into like their manga publishing site and say whatever manga you're making, if it's good, you got to have at least like 20 plus volumes so we can milk the shit out of it by having as much anime, really push this product and get more people to buy your shit.
Here is my speculation on that. So the first thing that I think is rather interesting off the bat is they straight up said number of seasons and episodes. So it is, first of all, anime production in terms of getting new seasons renewal and stuff like that. And if we exclude shonen, which I think we can talk about shonen like even within this discussion, but exclude that for the time being. Usually animes having like, a second or third season sometimes is just out of the question. And we have talked about it before. And I think it's one of those things where if you watch a lot of anime, you just know it would be nice to get that second season, but it's like pretty much a pipe dream. So straight up be like, oh, the number of seasons, we're going to increase that. So it's just going to be like, oh, they're doubling down. Then the number of episodes, you could see that as, oh, multiple seasons would mean more episodes. Or you could see, since they said seasons and episodes, it's like, yo, you like this anime, or we're doubling down here, we're also doubling down the amount of curs released.
So you think rather than just doing like a singular season cur, it might just be like, you know what, fuck it, we're writing this anime for half a year, we're doing a double cur.
I would say split cur, but yes, yeah, for that year it would be like equivalent to 2 curs. And I think also the other thing that is like implied is because Kadokawa obviously publishing arm has their own manga light novel. So rather than, getting the IPs of other publishing companies, it's like, yo, let's have everything in-house. We have like our own line of mangas. So it's a kind of a gutsy call to be like, we are essentially saying publicly, acknowledging that we will probably double down on a lot of our IPs and won't just have one season and call it quits. It's like we're going for the long game. Now, it's all well said and good from saying it versus implementing and doing it, but it is very ballsy when you consider the Japanese culture of we don't really want to say a lot, even though we know Demon Slayer is going to get renewal. We don't announce it until the finale episode of that arc. It's kind of like Shield Hero and Mashle adaptations where they kind of just straight up said, oh, we're doing this for 3 seasons. We're adapting all of it. It's so rare these days because it's such a gutsy call, right?
Yeah. So it's to be seen like how this acquisition of like more wholly owned studios is going to play out for Kadokawa and probably other corporations under this anime production hood. But like I think that what we can at least expect is we're just going to see more anime.
Yeah.
That's the main thing there.
All right. So a quick thing before we get into our last news story, which I think is kind of funny, but let's, pay our respects. So we mentioned a couple episodes, or I think last episode, about Studio Ghibli. And they are now being, I guess, bought out by Nippon.
Nippon TV, yeah.
NTV, yep. And because of that, they are now officially shutting down their official Twitter account. Now, that may not seem like a big deal because it kind of is not. But I think is one of those like symbolic gestures and symbolic actions that is kind of like, oh, end of an era, that kind of thing. And within the Asian culture, definitely within the Japanese culture, this like symbolic kind of gesture. I mean, the fact that in our news story, you can't even find
they're all dead.
The Twitter post or
X post,
X formerly Twitter post. Everyone has to say that now. It's really annoying. It's just like at the end of an era, it's like, oh shit is real now. Like there are like being bought into the NTV. So
it's just moving into the new era now.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily there's anything new or shattering in that. It's just kind of like closing the books officially and now shit is real.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about the future of Ghibli. I think they're going to be in safe hands. They have to be in safe hands. So yeah, don't get too upset about it. I can imagine there's going to be some diehard fans that are a little bit like shocked by the sudden closure of the Twitter account, but it's neither here or there. Like, don't worry too much about it. Y'all still get more Ghibli down the road. And if you haven't watched Boy and the Heron yet, go watch it.
I mean, when is it out in Hong Kong?
I don't know actually. I haven't really checked. But I'm sure it'll come out sometime early next year.
All right. We'll find out, and we'll watch. If we watch it, we'll report on it. So,
the last bit of news.
Here's the thing, guys. Right now, as of right now, to my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, Will, Attack on Titan is finished.
Yep.
The anime adaptation. Of course, the manga has been finished for quite some time.
Yep.
But now, final season... Part 3, Part 2. Did I say that correctly?
I don't fucking know, man.
But it sounds about right? Is now officially completed, which then meant that the end of the whole anime adaptation has been completed. But one of the things that I think was very controversial for a lot of people was how the anime is going to end based on how the manga ended. And, they said that the anime's finale, which I guess has already aired, is going to differ, quote unquote, a little from the original manga's ending. I don't know how to really interpret this because I didn't watch the series finale, but
you read the whole thing, right?
It's really hard to end an anime that has, a manga that has so much hype behind it.
Yeah.
I think even Demon Slayer's official ending and epilogue, I had a lot of problems with. I didn't like it at all.
It's really hard. I mean, like, there's been countless like YouTubers that have been like trying to dissect the way to properly end an anime or a manga, and unfortunately, it's like 1 out of like 100 series that actually gets a proper send off. A lot of times, people just get hung up and don't want something to end. But then when it does end, they realize, what? Like, actually, yeah, no, this is done. Like, I don't want to see any more of this. Or they are just very, very disappointed about how it ended.
Yeah, or I thought that this manga was going to go a little bit longer, and then your editor tells you, yo, you better end this in like 6 chapters because it's getting axed. And then now you have to like scramble and figure out some way to like resolve it as best that you can, right? I can tell you for a fact that the ending for the manga was controversial. Okay, by the way, we're not going to spoil anything. That's another thing that I want to say. But
the key thing is just it was very controversial.
It was very controversial. I liked it.
I was cool with it.
I just didn't. I also get the hate or the unsatisfied resolution that a lot of people have been saying. So I guess because of that, they're caving in slightly. And also, I guess, to hype up the series finale. So not even season, the series finale to be like, oh, it's going to be, quote unquote, a little different. So maybe you should watch it because even though you hate the manga, maybe the anime ending is the thing that you're looking for. Now, I don't know because I didn't watch it yet, but I don't know. Like,
I mean, it is also 85 minutes long. It's a short movie. this is like for sure now. Like
Oshinoko, but finale style.
You gotta like do the proper send off for all the Attack on Titan fans because they were already pissed enough along the journey in terms of like how long it took for the second season to come out. They waited 6 years for it, and then there was also
We waited.
Yeah. And then they had the Mappa handover as well, and there was a lot of hate on that side too. It didn't help that there were a lot of reports of not so good news happening at the Mappa studios themselves. And now, this is also like another contentious point. There's going to be people like purists of the manga. They're like, don't sell it, leave it as is. And then there are others like, no, I'm thankful that they're doing this. Like, they better not fuck this up.
Yeah, and there's also going to be people that I also subscribe to this for certain series where I don't like the ending, but please just do the ending as intended rather than do your own anime original ending. I really do believe some people believe in that, even though they hate that ending for AOT. They're just like, well, just don't do anything different. Just do it the same because please just don't. Because, Promised Neverland Season 2, it's like, just don't, bro. Like, don't do, like, Game of Thrones final season. Don't. No, So, I don't know. It is very contentious. A lot of opinions and stances on multiple sides. So... but it's over.
Yeah. Again, is it good news? Is it bad news? We don't know because we haven't watched the finale.
But regardless, it is the end of a very pivotal anime series in the modern era.
10 years.
Yeah.
10 years ago it came out first. Like, this is it. Like, AOT fans, like, I hope y'all got the right send-off you wanted because there's not going to be any more of it.
And thank you, AOT.
Yeah. No, it was a really fucking good series. And I think that, like... for them wanting to give it, I guess, a proper ending, at least in the anime form, I'll take that as a positive. I'll take that as a win.
Will, I'm going to ask you now kind of, do you think now that all of the AOT stuff is out, we should do a series discussion and revive a segment for the After Dark? I'm putting you on the spot.
No.
Okay.
I've had enough of Attack on Titan, to be fair.
Enough said, enough done. I get you. All right, so that is the end of our news story. We did have another thing about Eren Yeager, but I think we're okay not talking about it.
Yep. Attack on Titan fans, y'all already had enough of Attack on Titan news. We are now done with our news section. That was a long one, actually. That was like a good 25 minutes. But we hadn't really done a whole lot of news before the last couple episodes. So this is a good time to essentially catch up on things. Some of these might be a little bit old, especially, for example, like the Attack on Titan one. Like the finale came out last week. But, we still wanted to give our 2 cents on how we felt that their adaptation process should be received.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the concepts of, should you adapt it or not? Is it different or not? Is irregardless of any series, any hype, any anticipation, is a cornerstone of contention among, anime and manga fans. So, hey, that's why we talked about it.
Yep. Now we move into, I suppose, the first parts of our main discussion topic, as mentioned by Jason. We are going to be changing our tone, and we are not going to be super critical about anime, manga, the industry, the production companies, the studios, and whatnot, and instead being grateful, giving thanks for all the hard work, all of the wonderful things that we've consumed, both from anime and manga.
So we have kind of split this main discussion topic into several chunks, and we will kind of have a dedicated section where we are, grateful for, like, for example, we will have a section on series and characters or trends and practices or, manga as like a platform or certain companies or anime and manga as a medium, kind of go from small scale to big. So let's start with grateful for any specific series or characters. Will, do you have anything that you want to mention off the rip?
To be fair, I think that there's a lot of stuff that we've watched over this year that has kind of just come out of nowhere and really just showed us, you know what? It's not always just Bleach. It's not always just One Piece. It's not always just the hype shonens. There are certain series that just pop up and remind us that it doesn't always just have to be shonen actions and isekais that really get the blood flowing and make you really, really appreciate anime and manga. I think that one series that you really, really like right? It's I keep forgetting the name of it. The one with the girl and the guitar and all that.
The one with Bocchi the
Yeah,
Rock.
Bocchi the Rock.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that one legitimately, like when you saw things like Kaguya-sama, when you saw things like I suppose Oshinoko to an extent, just because
Absolutely,
because of the pedigree it carries, along with Fruits Basket as well, when they were like scaling the top of the charts for my anime list. It was like pretty much expected that they would do that, but then to see Bocchi the Rock pushing up towards like a 9 out of 10 on my anime list, sitting at like an 8.91, 8.9 something. Let me just double check the score. But you watched the whole series, and I haven't watched a single episode, but that doesn't mean that like I have nothing to say about it. What I appreciate and what I'm thankful for is that it's not always just going to the bare minimum and showcasing what people like. Sometimes it's also pretty good to just try something different, put it out there, and let people appreciate it. And what happened was a whole lot of people appreciated Bocchi the Rock. Like I have friends who to this day still won't shut the fuck up about Bocchi the Rock. I'm not talking about you specifically.
Oh, really?
I'm talking
didn't
about
know.
other friends.
Yeah, okay, we can talk about those friends in name, when we are going into our break.
8.81, not 8.91. That's still fucking phenomenal.
Wait, what's the rank?
Top 30.
Jesus Christ,
And
that's
this is for all like animes, including like ONAs, OVAs, movies, one shots, and all that. If we were just talking about anime, just specifically as a TV series, then that would be a
even higher. Holy shit,
21.
Holy fuck, that's phenomenal. But I think one of the series that I am very grateful for, going actually against what you said about run of the mill shonen, is JJK. I think, look, we like to say a lot of negative things about shonen action as a genre, and I think we are at that age bracket where we grew up with anime and manga, and also then are kind of done. Like, at least my opinion is, I fully respect Naruto and Bleach. It's not like I hate it, because it was during my formative years. But I think JJK is like, and Demon Slayer is the modern equivalent of those shows because you grew up with it. They're hype. They're amazing. And at the end of the day, JJK, it's like same shit, different day, but best possible way. And I think Demon Slayer in many ways is like that as well. I think there are certain episodes are just phenomenal in the Demon Slayer repertoire. I don't need to mention what those episodes are. I think everyone knows, especially in the first season, that one episode. I think episode 19 is the one. But look, do you know how influential JJK is, dear listeners? I'm not going to say the actual spoiler for it, so don't worry. But the recent manga chapter, I think a couple of weeks back, had a very, very big moment. I'll just say that. And it was so massive of a change, even though I think Will and I and a lot of people knew that it was going to happen, but then it happened. There was a mangaka that took a break because of that. We didn't report on it because we didn't really want to go over the spoiler part, but that was how influential it is. JJK is massive, and it is one of those where instead of saying Naruto or Bleach, nowadays if you just kind of like interview like some kid off the streets, they'll be like, oh, it's JJK. It is, Demon Slayer. And I am grateful because they kind of reinvent the wheel ever so slightly with the shonen genre that I can't really say a lot of negative stuff about it. I'm just quite happy about it.
Yeah,
for sure.
As much, hype and, typical a series JJK is, it's cool to see that we're able to continuously push this shonen action trope on people, and it doesn't get stale for the majority. I think in the end, of course, it's got the ingredients to be popular, to be in like the mainstream, and have people like gluing their eyes on watches. I mean, dude, like all you have to do is just be like, I got 3 main characters, and they're all really, really cool. They're all really quirky in their own ways, and they're all doing some real demon curse, like, ninja fighting shit.
Two guys, one girl. Always is that makeup, right? So there you go.
It'd be interesting to see if they change that up, to be honest. But,
I think everyone will lose their minds in like a meme sense if that ever occurs. But I think another series that I also am eternally grateful for that actually came out extremely recently is Pluto. It is a series that harkens back to the old school noir, the really slow pace, the kind of show that obviously is by the same manga who did Monster, so it's unsurprising of kind of the gravity, the weight, the burdens of the characters, how thoughtful it is, and how slow it fucking is in the kind of the modern era of, oh, get the premise out the door, just off the rip. Oh, I'm isekai'd. Oh, okay, I will just, I know this is now a video game, so okay, this is the menu, this is whatever. But to have a very slow burn anime is extremely rare. Then you have M2, who kind of has his first major showing with this. And out of nowhere, also, it's a Netflix exclusive, which we haven't really gotten in a major capacity where, and it was in development hell forever. Then all of a sudden coming out, and I don't even remember what was the ranking now.
Where would you rate it in terms of Netflix originals?
Oh, right. I see. So we had a mutual friend, and I had a conversation with him, and I said that it is top 3 of all time on Netflix anime. That if someone were to be like, oh, I have Netflix, what are the 3 anime series I should check?
Violet Evergarden, Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and
Pluto. Absolutely. Those are the 3. I think those cover a wide range of genres and show what anime is all about.
Yeah. One thing that I'm very thankful for in anime/manga form, it's not a series, but a movie. And I know that it did its first screening last year in November, but we only watched it at the beginning of this year. Suzume. I am very thankful, not just specifically to the movie itself, but also to Makoto Shinkai, because of the fact that I think a lot of people to this day still ride on that Your Name train, where it's just like, look, it is one of the biggest movies of all time in anime form. I didn't think it was that great. People won't shut the fuck up about it. They think it's like the greatest anime movie since Spirited Away, which I also thought wasn't that great. But to then have Suzume come out with probably one of the most powerful soundtracks I've ever heard in a movie.
The best cold open in a movie I've seen in recent memory.
Radwimps fucking slaying it with the music as well. Like, God, there was almost nothing to hate about Suzume. I think the story was wonderful. The characters were beautifully voiced. Everything looks so eclectic and pretty. And also the little tidbit at the end of why this movie existed in the first place.
Yeah, props to you, because I didn't piece it together, but you pieced it together, and I was just like, oh shit, I feel like such a dummy because I didn't even pick that up. But yeah, it was very obvious as to what the movie was really about in many ways. Yeah. And
I think as well, I mean, like, this is not specifically, against you, but like, you weren't necessarily the biggest of Shinkai fans, right? I think like you like this stuff, but it's like there were probably other like anime movie directors that you would probably default to if you were to like have like that Mount Rushmore of anime series and movies directors.
Well, to be fair, it would be, I mean, Shinkai would be on there.
Right, but like barely though, because outside of like before Suzume came out, would you have put him on there solely based on Weathering with You and with, but like, is it just because there's no one else?
It's like pedigree. I would say like modern, right? So we're not talking about Miyazaki, because if we mention Miyazaki, Mount Rushmore would just have Miyazaki, okay? So, but if we exclude him, there would be 3, which are actually we covered them for our. It would be Makoto Shinkai, Hosoda, and it would be Yuasa. Those 3 are 100% would be on my anime Mount Rushmore for anime movies.
I would. It's obviously hard, but of course, like you'd have to put Miyazaki on there.
Yeah,
I mean, like to take him out there just kind of does a disservice to like all the work he's done. It would have been for me, Yuasa, biased as fuck, I know. Hosoda, of course, the big guy Ghibli himself, Satoshi Kon.
You see, I knew about Satoshi Kon that you would say that. I would put Satoshi Kon next to Miyazaki on like another plane of existence.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, like, personally saying Hosoda, Shinkai, and Yuasa, all outstanding directors, it just doesn't, it's not the same, with saying, I
It's
mean,
not fair.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. Like Satoshi Kon had a very good movie called Tokyo Grandfathers or something, and I think that is so encapsulating of like Miyazaki, and Satoshi Kon is the OG grandfather that a lot of people not only look up to, but I think Yuasa obviously has a huge admiration and actual personal relationship with Satoshi Kon at Madhouse, right?
Yep.
Before it kind of disintegrated the first time around.
Yep. So with this, metaphorical Mount Rushmore of anime producers and directors, I think that Shinkai now is pushing the needle rather than like just sort of like, and I don't think he does this, but like rather than just, resting on the laurels of, your name and to some extent Weathering with You. I think now we finally have a movie where if we're talking about Makoto Shinkai, this is the one that I would recommend. I would easily push Suzume over anybody wanting to watch Your Name.
I mean, I would say in order of my favorite is Suzume by a mile. 100%. I think I gave that a 9 out of 10, but really it's like
You
a
actually
9.
gave it an 8 out of 10.
Really?
I saw on my let's just
My
know,
Suzume?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You must have mouse slip. It was just a slip of your mouse.
But Suzume, and then it would be Your Name, and then very far down would be Weathering with You. I still think Weathering with You is great, and it looks great, but it just is not the same amount of impact that I felt with the previous two movies on that list. But nonetheless, Suzume got that shit on lock. You get what I mean?
Yeah. Oh man, like just now, like even talking about it, I still have like the it's still like ringing in my head. Oh my god, I loved it so much. It's one of those movies that like I feel like I never really rewatch a lot of movies just because it's like you already have that firsthand experience, and then to go back in, it kind of feels like you're just seeing it all over again. But with the fact that you know what's going to happen, I could probably rewatch Suzume again just for the music.
You should just listen to Suzume's
music. True.
Yeah.
I could just put Wet Winds on my Spotify and just listen to that. But
I mean, I listen to a lot of the Weathering with You soundtrack as well. So
let's just say the Shinkai movies tend to have pretty damn good soundtracks.
A lot of it. So, okay. Let me talk about let me talk about a movie that you and I have not watched at all. But
Slam Dunk?
Well, yeah, but we should watch that. That we absolutely need to watch ASAP as soon as possible. Not actually the ASAP is Inuo. And here's the thing of why I'm grateful for Inuo, and also in a way grateful for Belle, is that with Belle being at the Cannes Film Festival, getting a standing ovation. I mean, I talked about that news story multiple times. Even if we talk about not reporting on it, that news story, I still talked about it endlessly, is because it's kind of that gesture of acceptance within the greater film community, the greater world of anime and manga. I'm also extremely grateful for the amount of impact, despite having not seen it yet, of Inuo, because how is it possible that a shamisen rock opera spirited away type music thing, there was like a quote by like some critic that described what Inuo was, and it just sounded like, yeah, was it like an ad lib, like, oh, insert adjective here, insert crazy music genre here. And I don't think he's lying either. I forgot that quote. It was in the trailer. It was hilarious because it's like, yeah, that's exactly what I would expect out of Yuasa, right? And are you looking for that quote?
No.
Oh, okay. But
I mean, you know how much I fucking love Yuasa.
Yeah, and we really need to like sit down and watch it. We kind of have been putting it off, but I think Inuo is something that we need to check off on our bucket list, like as soon as possible.
Yeah. There's a series that came out this year that I'm extremely thankful for. Not a series specifically that is brand new, but has finally come back and is ready to actually, for me to get back onto watching on Netflix. Kengan Ashura. I waited so fucking long for the second season of Kengan Ashura to come out. Yes, I did read all of the manga. Yes, that's also what's kind of putting me off from actually starting up the second season. But just the fact that it exists now, after waiting for like 4 or 5 years for it to come out, I could not be happier.
Yeah, shout out to... Okay, look, I think anime and manga, because I'm super biased towards that medium, sometimes throws weird curveball adaptation announcements out of fucking nowhere. And obviously, Kengan Ashura Season 2 is one of them. And I did not like the idea of what Season 1 was before I watched it, all right? It was 3D animated, and it didn't have that fluid look, you know, and you know, like, it felt more like Polygon Pictures if I just looked at the trailer in terms of 3D use than Studio Orange, right? But I watched it, and then I wouldn't shut up about it. So it's one of those things where looks can be deceiving, first of all. So Season 1, I really liked it. Let's talk about the one of probably the greatest character arcs I've seen in a martial arts, you know, anime series, Cosmos. Best
Dude,
boy.
Best boy for sure. Cosmo is so fucking lovable, man.
Yeah. And then it's kind of like, you know, Dorohedoro, where like, oh, there's tons of content left to adapt, but we're not going to get it, right, Will? And then you were like, yeah. And then everyone in the anime community is like, we got that one season, let's just be happy with it. And then all of a sudden it's like, guys, you know that Kengan Ashura series that we did like a long time ago? Yeah, we're going to do Season 2, and guess what? It's going to happen this year. And then months later, oh, guess what? It's coming out in a couple of weeks, and we're all just like, what the fuck? Like, awesome. So I'm really grateful. I haven't seen it yet, but it's available for us to watch right now. So
I think we might wrap up this particular category of being thankful for a specific series. And this is not necessarily a series in general. Let's just be thankful that 2023 has been a phenomenal year for anime and manga, specifically for anime, because there have been a lot of bangers that came out. Like, I'm not even just talking about anime scores on my anime list, but the fact that we had Vinland Saga Season 2, which is fucking amazing. Bungo Stray Dogs is finally back in like full force with 4th and 5th seasons for this year. If people loved Tsurune, they got that. Trigun Stampede fans, or even the original Trigun series, you got that. Oshinoko fucking destroying everyone's minds with their fucking 1.5 hour premiere. Dr. Stone still doing really fucking well. Hell's Paradise.
Fieren.
Heavenly Delusions. Demon Slayer still slaying shit, even though the latest season is like, you know, it's not the best out of all of them, but still really damn good. Summer tends to be pretty, you know, low, but you still had things like, you know, Bleach. You also had Jujutsu Kaisen 2nd season, really good. Horimiya Peace. I mean, you were kind of like doubtful in terms of like, this is a side story thing, but it still turned out to be a fucking beautiful adaptation of things you didn't know you needed.
We both thought it would be Treasure Chest of Courage level, and it turned out it wasn't.
Yeah. Then you also had like My Happy Marriage, Undead Girl Murder Farce, Zom 100, Mushoku Tensei.
Oh, by the way, if you guys did not know about Zom 100 having a hiatus in production, they have announced the rest of the episodes are being released on Christmas Day.
Damn. Okay, that's going to be
Christmas Eve, I think, yeah.
That's going to be a wonderful Christmas for people.
For episode 8 to 12, back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah. And then, like, not even talking about this season yet, right? But you also had shit like fucking the 2nd season of Spy X Family. You also have Apothecary Diaries finally coming out and, you know, doing really fucking well. Eminence in Shadow 2nd season, right? Mm-hmm. That one's destroying everything right now, bar like Fieren. So this year alone, props to all the studios for being able to put out really, really good quality shit. Even the 7s were also really fucking good too.
Yeah, I think one of those things is, even though I think there is an argument to be made about the anime market every season is oversaturated, if your shit is all good, even though it's oversaturated, it's at least like everything is good. And I think this fall season especially, you throw a dart on any fall anime seasonal and you're gonna get a decent to a good time.
I mean, let me just throw out like a couple of 7s and see what I mean. Like Campfire Cooking.
Fucking great.
right?
I loved it.
The Isekai Garden Isekai. Sorry.
Garden Isekai?
Yeah, the one which is like he has a little harem of like garden. It's the full name of it is Farming Life. Sorry, not garden. Farming Life in Another World.
Oh yeah, I loved
Right?
it. Yeah,
that one's a 7.5.
You like Harvest Moon? Yeah, fuck yeah.
My Clueless First Friend.
I liked it a lot.
I really, really liked it. Of course, there are people that also really liked Birdie Wing. You know, you got second season for that. What else you got? You also had that depressed cat one.
Oh yeah,
the Masterful Cat is depressed again today. That one was surprisingly good.
I really liked it. Yeah.
You know? So look, sometimes you might be thinking like we have talked about it before where there's too much damn anime every season. But like Jason said, if the shit's good, then fuck it, I'm not gonna complain.
Yeah, and just because like the shonen or certain seinen series like AOT is always the loudest, and sometimes rightfully so, right? I can't really say a lot of bad things, especially on the production side of any of those series, right? Mappa with JJK, Ufotable with Demon Slayer, and obviously Mappa with AOT. Phenomenal adaptation. Like if we exclude like the plot beats and stuff, fucking fantastic. And then, okay, you don't like the shonen, typical action stuff. Will and just name dropped a whole bunch of awesome shows, and I think it's just great,
right? Like
something for everyone, literally, right?
Every seasonal review that we do, we always have like I don't care about this, I don't care about that, but they make up a very like small minority of stuff that honestly, like, it was kind of easy to pick on them and just slate them. But I mean, you had like Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. You had
out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, you had the Genius Lady and Reincarnated Princess.
Genius Lady, yeah, I really liked that
one
show.
Was pretty good. I mean, it started strong and then it kind of dipped a bit. But hey, look, like a 7.49, like that's a very respectable score.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for that. The year of 2023, which is still going, by the way. We are not even that close to finishing fall 2023.
Yep.
We are thankful. We are very grateful that despite how there's so much anime this year and it's hard to keep up, at least we're watching a lot of good stuff.
Absolutely. So now that all that is out of the way, we will continue the happy good train, but we will first take a break and then we will be back with the second half where we'll be grateful for more grander types of things that's happening within the anime and manga medium.
Yep.
Will anything to say before we head off into the break?
More that, later on we'll be going over like tropes, trends, practices, specific studios, and in general, what we are thankful for in anime and manga as a whole. So we'll catch you after this break.
Peace.
We are back for the second half of today's episode 71, where Jason and I will be giving thanks to many facets, many areas of anime and manga. We just got done talking about specific series, whether it be anime, manga, movies in general, and now we're going into, I guess, more specific areas within anime and manga. As usual, it's me, Will, Jason over here as well. What should we give thanks to for this particular category then? Like, are we gonna go talk about trends, maybe genres, things like that?
Yeah, but I think first thing is we're gonna double back on something that we originally crossed out, and then now we're gonna re-implement back in anime and manga tropes. So it's gonna be a quick actual thing. Will, do you want to go first because you had something in mind, or do you want me to go first?
I did have something in mind, but I do need to discuss this with you on air. Would you consider specific genres as a trope?
I mean, we could just say trope/genres and just kind of include both.
I am thankful
we make the fucking rules
for
right?
one specific subgenre, the reverse isekai, and it's all thanks to Uncle from Another World. Not to say that like I'm bashing on isekais in general. Like I like a good isekai. But when you have a reverse isekai done well, with the right amount of fantasy, the right amount of shenanigans, and purely like insanely good comedy as well, I'm thankful that despite the setbacks in terms of production issues, COVID, and all that, that we still managed to get Uncle Isekai in all of its glory. Wonderful studio behind it as well. A brand new studio doing it as well. But this is not specifically about the series itself, but I'm thankful that there's someone out there that decides, you know what, why don't we just not do a plain old isekai? Reverse isekais are the thing now. Yes, we don't get many of those, and that's why I said it was a subgenre, but I would be so thankful to anybody out there if they were to just, push back on isekais and just get us more reverse stuff to work on.
I think it's one of those things where in the beginning of the genre, because there is a plethora of like light novel titles and novel titles, there was a wealth of content to adapt. But over the years, now that it's become kind of a staple genre in any anime season, everyone now has to kind of innovate within that genre. And I am extremely thankful for another subgenre of isekais now that we're on this topic. I thoroughly guilty pleasure love villainous.
There's been so many this year.
And it's all pretty good, I think. Varying levels of quality, but I don't think anything is outright bad or corny in a negative sense.
It just does what it needs to do.
And I'm very thankful for people within that genre that has been getting a lot of hate. Like, if we sort of personify the isekai genre as a person, it has been getting a lot of hate, even from us, and I think rightfully so. So what do people do in that genre? What does the isekai dude or dudette does in the genre? Well, we got to innovate. I got to change myself. And I like the directions that they're heading down. I think it's just a natural progression of like, Eminence in Shadow is technically an isekai, I guess, right? And I'm just...
Would you consider... Oh, no, actually, no. Finish your thoughts, because I do want to bring something up after this.
I mean, also, don't forget Jobless Reincarnation, bro.
Yeah.
Like...
Well, now that we're talking about reincarnation, Deadmon Deathplay.
Yeah.
I mean...
That's a reverse isekai, 100%.
And it was fucking good. Not amazing, but like for the time when we were watching it, Jesus Christ, we did not expect this to be a banger.
And part 2 is coming out, right? And I remember before part 1 was even premiering, we were like, why are you already announcing part 2 when part 1 hasn't even aired?
Oh, it is airing right now.
Yes, it is. Yeah, part 2.
We were talking about it at the time. Yeah.
So, also contains a good yandere. A good yandere, for
one
sure.
that you can actually like
get behind
and not be a freak for like putting on a pedestal and praising.
Yeah, it's not like Will and I talked about having a list of top 10 yanderes. I mean, who would think about putting up a list like that for something?
Fucking like crazy ass like motherfuckers.
We're ready for Rose Rumble number 3 coming next year, Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah, we were looking forward to that.
It's gonna be dumb. I'm so looking forward to it. But yes, reverse isekais or villainous isekais as subgenres, I'm extremely grateful because you take a genre that kind of ran its course for a lot of people, kind of stale, and you just change a little bit. And then all of a sudden it's fresh and new again. I am very grateful for that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. I am grateful in terms of genres and tropes, but more on the trope side. We had a good amount of kuderes this year. A lot of good kuderes this year.
There were a lot.
I would argue Oshinoko's Aqua is kind of a kudere.
Oh, absolutely.
I would say Fieren obviously is a very obvious kudere. Nier Automata, I know it's a video game. I know Nier, there's a lot of content out there.
Yep. A lot of content.
But hey, if it's voiced by Violet Evergarden Girl, fuck yeah, let's go. Tons of kuderes that I think are just primo quality. So I love kuderes to death as like an anime manga trope, and we got good. We did good this year. So I'm very grateful for the kudere train has not stopped. In fact, it's only accelerating.
Do we have any more tropes and trends, tropes and genres, or do you want to go into the next one?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I have nothing else to be. I mean, I have plenty of things to be grateful for, but nothing I feel like I need to kind of put on a pedestal for the time being.
We can always revisit it back. Again, it's our podcast. We can always just cycle back to all the old stuff that we're talking about today.
Yeah.
So now we want to talk about trends and practices. So things that have been, kind of like being done within the industry. Maybe is like, like anime viewing behavior. Maybe it's the way that anime and manga is being syndicated or released and whatnot. Just generally like the more granular ways of like how anime is just used, consumed, whatnot.
I'll start really easy. Mentioned it several times. Adaptations and being ballsy and gutsy about it. I think obviously Mashal is a very well-known one. I think even Shield Hero for
all the
seasons,
hate that it got in season 2, right?
I mean, just look at that. Like, it bounced back in a big way. So it's so gutsy off the rip to be like, yo, we are just going to adapt all of it. Or we're going to adapt like multiple seasons. And without gauging the public, reception of it, it's such a gutsy move. And then not backing out of it is another gutsy move. We rarely get that in anime and manga. And of course, does it apply to every single series out there? Absolutely no. I would not even want that if I was in that position to like execute on the adaptation process. But still, Fruits Basket, it's not this year, but Fruits Basket is a animation like reimagining where from the get-go they're like, oh yeah, we're fucking doing all of it, guys. And we're all like, you're fucking crazy. And then everything came out and we're like, oh, we were the crazy ones for doubting you. I'm so sorry. So I'm very grateful for these kind of gutsy calls when you are so like sure of what you have.
One thing that I think going off of gutsy calls, one thing that I am grateful for. Initially, I was worried, but I am now like very thankful for our extended premieres and longer length anime episodes. Oshi no Ko, Frieren, and to an extent, hour-long episodes for Pluto.
I mean, also don't forget Apothecary Diaries. The first week, 3 episodes came out back to back to back.
Who saw like this kind of shit happening? We're getting like movie-length features of like first episodes for anime. Like nobody ever like thought that would be going to be like a normal thing. But yeah. I'm thankful that it's becoming a bit more mainstream because look, sometimes 25 minutes is not a whole lot to showcase your shit, and you know how you do the 3-episode rule?
Absolutely.
You don't need to do it anymore. Just watch that one episode, and you already know if you're going to vibe with it.
Now, there are a lot of either downsides or problems with having such an extended premiere, but this is not the place for that. We're here to be grateful and thankful rather than kind of being more negative. But I do think that conversation should be had maybe at a later date. But nonetheless, getting a lot of anime, I ain't going to complain.
Especially if it's like you get to sit down in one go, hour and a half, and all the way throughout, it is beautiful. It is amazing.
Okay, so we're not going to talk about the plot beats of the first episode of Oshi no Ko, but let's talk about that first episode, the 90-minute episode, because how could you do it differently?
You couldn't. I think like it was the one and only way to do it, and they executed it perfectly.
Imagine like splitting that up like Mugen Train style. And I think like you can't, right? And they tried it with the Mugen Train movie as like a compromise, so I understood that they were just trying to make the best of that situation. But Oshi no Ko, imagine it. I think by the end of that first episode, it has laid out a lot of cards such that you know what the show is, or at least, before all the twists and turns. But how could it be like, oh, watch the first 6 episodes because it would have ended as 6 episodes, right? And I think, right? Was it like 90 minutes? So it would be 25. Yeah, like 4. Yes.
One thing I'm also very grateful in terms of what we've been seeing, not specifically in the past year, but maybe the past 2-3 years, especially like since, COVID and all that, bringing back old series. Urusei Yatsura, Rurouni Kenshin, Pluto, Shaman King. there's one other one that I forgot. I can't remember what it was. But Trigun.
Wait, I thought you would say North Star.
That too, but we haven't seen anything come out from it yet.
True.
But that is now like becoming the trend. Where yes, it makes sense. You know,
Berserk.
Oh yes. Berserk also came back as well.
Okay, not the anime front, but the manga front. After the unfortunate passing of the original mangaka, right? And then now it's continuing again, right? That's a gutsy call in of itself.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's like the thing is like whether or not it works in the case of like for example like Shaman King to some extent Urusei Yatsura, but then you also have stuff like Pluto fucking things up. You also have Rurouni Kenshin, which is doing very very solid. That the 2023.
I'm surprised, honestly.
Yeah. But it's like again, this is not something that's completely new, right? We said like Fruits Basket. We had that with Hunter x Hunter. We've had that with Fullmetal Alchemist and Brotherhood. But and then I guess also I think the greatest thing is everyone thought that Bleach was dead. And then when it came out of the shadows and literally it was like a phoenix rising above the sun, holy fuck. This was it. No longer was Bleach the joke of the big three, and now it's like they fully deserve to have been in the big three in the first place.
And I think Bleach, Thousand Year Blood War has so much baggage that came with it because with the mangaka and the publisher, there was a lot of problems with the behind the scenes stuff. And I don't know how that relationship is with Thousand Year Blood War coming out. We're not here to say bad things. We're here to say good things. But nonetheless, it was the send-off that I think a lot of fans were hoping for, that gave up on, and then now that it's coming back full force. I mean, we went to a party when the first Thousand Year Blood War part came out, and there was, I think, a lady friend that just wouldn't shut up about it in like a very positive way, and got us kind of like, well, maybe we should watch this. Maybe she's kind of convincing us, bro. Like, holy shit. Like, she's saying all these things. I'm like, oh, I remember those characters. I remember that thing. I remember, oh, shit. Maybe, yeah. So very grateful for kind of reviving old franchises and definitely doing almost all of them justice, right?
Yeah. I think, like, look, this is obviously not a new trend, but it is a trend that we fully endorse just because, like, on the negative side, and this is just the only negative thing I'm going to say, it might sound lazy that you're just bringing back old series. You're not really like, redesigning the wheel, but if the wheel's fine, then like just make more of it. I'm completely fine if someone were to be like, you know what? We're going to redo Tokyo Ghoul. I would have no problem with them doing that if they were to do it right. Even if they did it wrong, I would still say, hey, look, at least you made the attempt to try and revitalize something that was so esteemed that kind of failed to deliver on the anime front, and maybe now it's the time to deliver again. I mean, that's what happened. But that's why like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood came out. There's a reason why Hunter x Hunter 2011 came out. There's always a chance for everyone to have a revitalization period, and this is not me trying to push for a revamp of Tokyo Ghoul, but I would very much like that.
The GAP brand and podcast fully endorse the opinion of William Wong stating that there should be a remake of Tokyo Ghoul.
Full name basis, okay.
I am fully behind that idea. I think the thing of remake being kind of old and lazy is very a common conception, and I think a lot of people do phone it in, but I think
it's also a kind of a lazy criticism too, right?
Yeah, I think a more apt kind of comparison using video games is imagine, Dark Souls, the original, versus the Dark Souls remake, where it is
Dead Space.
Yep, the Dead Space is also a very good one, where the old original video game is so good, but then rather than saying it's a remaster or like a simple upscale.
It's just a modern version.
It is a fully like almost like new game, new look, but the backbone is the old thing that we all know and love. So it's.
I mean, see, like how much waves like the Resident Evil 2 remake made. Like holy shit! Like I didn't play it. I watched enough gameplay.
Oh, I played it. It was great,
and people fucking love it.
I also love Resident Evil 3. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I fucking love Resident Evil 3.
I don't know why people didn't like it. I thought it looked good.
because of the tyrant mechanic.
Oh, okay.
Where it's like a dude that constantly follows you.
Yeah. Resident Evil 4, that was also another good one too.
That one reinvent the whole genre, all right?
Of the third-person shooter, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, listen, like, the remake thing is when you just look at Fruits Basket, the OG, and then look at Fruits Basket Remake, it's honestly two different animes. Yes, has the same characters and plot beats, but it's two different things. Like, it's not just a simple, we'll just put a new coat of paint. That's not fair to say it like that. And I'm grateful for a reimagining. I think would be a better appropriate term rather than remake, even though it is a remake. You're right.
One other trend in practice that I'm very thankful for is the continuation of producing series that have a whole lot of nothing, but still make you feel very comfortable and happy.
Like Inushige?
Not specific Inushige, but like just watching series that you literally don't need to think. You don't really need to do a whole lot, but at the same time, it gives you that kind of healing feeling. I'm not talking specifically about the genre, but just generally having more of these series coming out. So, for example, at the very beginning of the year, Handyman Saito, not a whole lot was going on. You're just watching people bumbling through a dungeon, but dude, that was very comforting to watch, especially when you had the little snippets.
You need to finish it, though, because actually you might change what you just said if you finished it. Yeah.
The first 3 episodes. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
Then you also had stuff like Insomniacs After School. You also had stuff like...
That was a fucking mood, bro. It was a vibe.
You also... And I think, arguably, one of my favorite series of this year, Skip and Loafer.
Definitely for me, too.
Right? It's those kinds of things where it's like, you don't have to continuously watch, like, action adventure heavy. You don't need to watch like the supernatural mysteries. You also don't need to have like a lot of like dramedies or
it's there if you want it, but you don't need to, right?
To an extent as well. Like Yamada-kun Level 999, I also found that to be very comfy too.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'm just glad that we still have these genres, these productions coming out every year, that I don't have to keep on chasing that adrenaline rush. I don't need to look for like, of course, like real ecchi degenerate shit to continuously enjoy watching anime. Sometimes you don't need to see a whole lot on screen to just appreciate the beauty of anime and manga.
I'm making a prediction right now for both of us, Will, that for spring 2024, we should just spend an ungodly amount of time talking about Yuru Camp Season 3. That's
God.
That's all I've got to say, right?
That's what I was also leaning into. Yeah.
Like speaking of like hype, comfy shows, that's kind of like the goddess, right? That's like Kami-sama god tier level. So I would say 2 trends and practices. Unfortunately, Will mention Skip and Loafer, so I have to say that trend first is opening dance sequences in your OPs. Because, look, listen.
It was so good.
Listen.
I do that dance with my fiance every now and then.
Listen, guys, hear me out. So, I understand that not everyone subscribes to the belief of going through the OP and EDs. I don't blame you for it. I really don't. I'm not going to judge you, even though I do it almost like all the time. As in, I sit through it or, just embrace the theme music. But if you need to convince anyone, to stay for the OP and EDs, a dance sequence is definitely going to do it. All right? A dance sequence or eye-popping visuals like the Oshi no Ko opening definitely is going to do it, where you will feel bad if you skip it. Like Skip and Loafer opening dance sequence, you can skip it, but you shouldn't. I don't think you want to if you have to. So, shout-outs to making OPs and EDs. I mean, the Vinland Saga OP, for fuck's sake.
Holy fuck.
What was it, Anonymous River?
So fucking good. And you're not even a huge Vinland Saga fan. You like it, but you're like, there's probably other stuff you want to watch. But like when you saw the opening for Vinland Saga Season 2.
I have that on my Spotify anime playlist. How about that? Let's also talk about shit. Trigun Stampede. The OP and ED, regardless of how you feel about Trigun Stampede, the visual aesthetics are phenomenal. Let's talk about, we can't not talk about Kaguya-sama's OP and ED.
Before that as well,
What's up?
you do have the. I mean, like, I know you didn't like it that much, but you do have to give a special shout out to the bullet time scene in Dragon Stampede, where there was the rain of bullets coming down.
That was a no, what do you mean? That was a great
scene.
Yeah,
we have to give special mention to that if we're going to be talking about Dragon Stampede.
Like, in terms of singular episode, to convince anyone that, like,
Dragon Stampede's actually pretty good.
You're not doing Beastars or Land Illustrious. You're doing Trigun Stampede instead. But that was convincing of me, right? Like, oh, okay, you are using your time wisely, like Studio Orange. Like, no problem. I may not necessarily love Trigun, but, like, I'll be like, yeah, no problem. You did good. The other trend that I'm going to mention, which is a bit more on the speculation side, because I don't know for a fact if it actually is a net positive, but through what I know as, like, an observer without having inside industry knowledge, is split curves as a practice. I think split curves do several things pretty well in maybe giving the studio a bit of a break in between, maybe in terms of not over, like, stimulating the fan base.
Yeah, you don't want to, like, fatigue them, right? You want to give them a little bit of a break, maybe like a season or two in between before you go into the second part or the second half of your double cur.
It also, remember when we talked about Netflix, one of our, like, I don't want to go negative, but it is a criticism of binge culture, because the conversation is, like, instantaneous and then it disappears, right?
Yeah.
But whereas a split cur is kind of like has a more ebb and flow of the entire, like, because it's technically over 3 seasons, right? It would be whatever season it aired, then the break, and then the second split cur. So it kind of carries that conversation going. And who knows, maybe in practice, what the hell was that? In reality, it is not as rosy as I make it out to be. But on paper, at least from what I know, the practice of a split cur is a very welcomed compromise to the trials and tribulations of being an animator or an animation studio.
There is actually one thing I do want to reverse back when talking about, like, revitalizing series.
Fuck yeah, let's go. I mean, slam dunk, technically.
Blue Exorcist Season 3 is coming out in 2024, baby. I liked Blue Exorcist.
I don't.
You have no opinion of it.
Because I actually have not ever watched it.
Yeah. But there is one more trend that I do want to talk about. And this is more hopeful than actually, like, realization. But I would love to see more adaptations of manhwas. Solo Leveling coming out January 2024 is probably the most hype way you could start off the new year.
Okay. I was hoping you didn't mention Solo Leveling because, Will, I'm telling you right now, our seasonal bet, I'm currently in the lead. So therefore, I get first pick. I'm sorry, Solo Leveling is my first pick. You're not going to be able to pick it.
That's okay. I got other stuff in there.
No. I mean, there's plenty of stuff for January. I'm just saying that one is off the table, off the rip.
You take Solo Leveling. I'll take Dungeon Meshi.
Oh, no. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's like, there's just a lot to look forward to in 2024.
And if it was reversed, you would pick Solo Leveling, and I definitely would pick Dungeon Meshi as well. So it is what it is, right?
That's actually interesting as well. We were talking about, like, bringing back old series, and I mentioned Blue Exorcist. Shaman King Flowers and the second season of Urusei Yatsura are coming out at the beginning of next year. So, like, hey, this is definitely a new trend. Things that were old and loved are going to keep coming back. And for this particular episode, the topic we're going over, we're going to be thankful for it. We're not going to criticize anything in this episode.
As much as we can, at least, yeah.
Yeah.
I am also extremely thankful and grateful for the practices of simulpub. I think simulcast has now been a very typical practice for everyone.
You would expect it, yeah.
Right? But simulpub is something that is, I mean, the manga digital space is a bit lagging behind the anime streaming space. I think that's just a fact that everyone knows, right? So for simulpub to happen and to have it in, like, a digital, platform space is something that I'm extremely grateful for, because I don't need to worry about waiting for the whole volume to come out. I can just get my Jump Plus, deluxe plan and just read the latest thing, just like another Japanese student, high school student would be in like a Lawson trying to read Jump Plus. Or Jump. It wouldn't be Jump Plus. It would be Jump, right?
I think that's the perfect segue into anime and manga platforms and companies that we are extremely thankful for. Jump Plus. The fact that now they have a brand new...
Jump Plus / Manga Plus.
They now have a brand new subscription plan, which gives a whole lot more access to the world for a very fucking low price. And with the whole simulpub backing it up too, reading manga has never been easier. Mm-hmm. Of course, it still requires some money, but a whole lot less than if you needed to go and buy hardback, you needed to buy digital copies, or you had to have like some crazy subscriptions. Talking about the Manga Up platform and all that.
Look, at least it's there.
Yeah, but I think
and they can always improve, and I think they have to improve, or else it will go downhill. But you're trying, right?
To give specific thanks, Jump Plus, Manga Plus, Shueisha, y'all done a really fucking good thing here. Because now, it is so easy just to pick up your phone, your tablet, and just open up the app and read whatever the fuck you want for a low price.
But let's double back to manhwa real quick, right? I think vertical mangas are also now a thing now on in like the Shonen Jump Plus, Manga Plus, and other platforms.
They did trial a little bit of it, early on. I forgot which series it was. I need to look back up. But yeah, the scrolling instead of reading it horizontally, I'm all for it.
And Tower of God, right, is getting second season. So it's not like the whole manhwa trend is gone. And I am grateful for what has been released thus far. And Lookism, I think, wasn't...
No, but even then, manhwa as itself as a medium, and having Webtoon, Naver, Tappytoon, all the different platforms that you can go and read your manhwas. Dude, there was a year when I wouldn't shut the fuck up about Bastard. I wouldn't stop talking about Sweet Home. There was another one. Oh, Dr. Frost is another one that's really, really good as well.
Yeah, I read Dr. Frost a lot, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good manhwa. And this is not to say that it's dead and buried. It's just that we don't cover a lot of manhwas on this podcast, just because there's already too much for us to cover. But we do need to give a special thanks for manhwa holding the fort strong and really pushing for more adaptations of that medium for anime.
And also shout-outs to manhwa platforms like Naver and Webtoons, Tappy, for getting the monetization right.
Yes.
I think their monetization...
It couldn't be more simple.
It's so simple, but it's exactly what they need, exactly what we want and need in terms of, maybe monetization is an issue for a lot of people, microtransactions, but
it's the most idiot-proof subscription plan.
That one I can totally get behind, right? So there's no hate towards... In fact, if anything, it's praise. It's grateful.
You like reading manhwas? Here's a bunch for free. Oh, this one is behind a paywall. Oh, we'll make it very easy for you to buy stuff.
Or just wait.
Give it 24 hours and we'll get you some free tokens.
You want a notification? We'll tell you. Don't worry.
It's Halloween period. You know what? If you read these 3 chapters of this manhwa, we'll get you some free coins. Sweet. Do they expire? No. Fuck. Okay, great. What's the drawback? There must be a rug pull here somewhere, right?
It's funny because it's always there's always a catch, right? Because we're so ingrained with there needs to be the fine print catch, and when there isn't one, you're just kind of nah, bro, no, don't do this to me. There needs to be a catch. Almost there needs to be something that fucks me over, but
it's too good to be true, man.
But then sometimes, guess what? It is what it is, right? And then you're just I didn't know that being somewhat ethical and moral from a consumerist standpoint actually can exist.
Can be a thing.
It's so dumb.
You just, granted, we just got done doing an episode on production committees and all that. You would think that it's all doom and gloom and just a whole bunch of evil. No, there's also some corporations that actually care about its consumers and give them what they want for a very suitable price.
Or trying their best in that situation and context, right? That
Yeah.
maybe never will get the credit that they rightfully deserve. Okay. For probably the second or third time that we have mentioned in this episode alone, I need to be grateful to, I don't know if it's one person or a multitude of people. Whoever's working on Disney Plus, I need to shake your hand. I give you a hug, high five. Someone at Disney should give that person or that team a raise for the licensing choices. If you can only choose like that one show per season or per 2 seasons, and you said, oh, I chose Heavenly Delusions and Summertime Render, I would say you're a fucking madman. You're crazy. Not like the simple, safe choice. You went with, albeit like awesome choices, but it's not something that, if you think about it from like an executive or licensing team, you would gravitate to. Maybe there was a thing of you couldn't get the other licenses that you want, but the ones you chose are fucking dope.
Yeah, it's not like they went the easy route and said, you know what, we want all of Naruto. We want all of Demon Slayer. No, they were like, give us something that is a little under the radar, but I guarantee you the metrics are there.
Let's be real. Disney can say or do whatever they want with the money that they have. Maybe their Netflix license... I'm sorry, Netflix. Sorry, I slip of the tongue, Freudian slip. Their anime licensing team doesn't have like a wealth of budget or, you know, connections.
Or maybe it's just not at the forefront of their business plan.
Absolutely. But whoever's working at that division, you're telling me you managed to convince the Disney Corporation to executively like have on their catalog of 5 titles, mind you, and I wouldn't count Star Wars Vision because that one is Star Wars, so it's like their own IP. So you're telling me that of the 4 shows, which is Tokyo Revengers, okay, that I excluded.
And also, of course, the Tommy Time Machine Blues.
Oh, shit, okay.
Yeah.
I should have remembered that. My bad.
No, I forgot about that one, too.
Both of us. And that's kind of sad, actually.
I like it enough, I suppose, you know, but I guess I'll just read books.
Okay,
You know?
but actually that also strengthens my argument, right? It's like Tatami Time Machine Blues, you have essentially Promised Neverland in Heavenly Delusion style, and then you also have Summertime Render, and I can't even begin without spoiling anything, so I won't, about sci-fi. Let's just say that. It's sci-fi-ish murder mystery.
It's fucking amazing. It was my top anime of 2022.
Like, how the fuck are you going to convince me that that person or that team I should not go out drinking with them and I'm not going to have a good time? Like, off the rip, it's like credit. It's like, oh, passed my like rep test, you know? So shout out to that guy, girl, lady, team of people over at I said it again, Disney Anime, doing the licensing.
I want to give a special shout out to not specifically like a studio. Well, okay, no, it is a studio. I talked to you about this off air. I'm very thankful that Madhouse is back.
Hell yeah.
It's not like they've been dead and buried. I mean, over the last few years.
Yeah. Let's be real.
You know,
they
like,
weren't dead and buried, but they were like kind of dead and buried, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, this is a studio that gave us so many bangers. They did Hunter x Hunter, Chihaya Furu. They did the Kaiji series. They did Rainbow, which unfortunately we can't watch as they don't like syndicate it outside. But you know, for a long time, didn't seem like there was a whole lot. Yes, they did have Sunny Boy 2 years ago, which you quite liked. There was a little weird, but you know, you still liked it.
I loved
right?
it. Yeah.
Then you also had like, you know, of course, Overlord season 4. But during that time, they also had, you know, in my opinion, duds like Tact Out Destiny. More recently, AI, the Gene of AI. Very, very bad show. But they did
No bummers. No, I'm just kidding.
They
Yeah.
also then did do Yamada-kun Level 999, which is a decent showing. But to start their revival period with a 2-hour premiere of Frieren, and it is now holding a 9.04 raw score on my anime list, which is enough to put it in like the top 10. It's 8th across the whole platform on my anime list, and this is for everything.
Now, the thing is, on one hand, I can kind of if I were to see Frieren Beyond Journey's End as an IP, like the manga and the accolades there, and then also to know all of like the staff members that are behind that production. When you say you have you want to make a big splash, a big impact, and say you have a 2-hour premiere, I would be like, yeah, that's a no-brainer, of course. Put all your eggs in that basket. That is like, in terms of betting and making picks, that is like the most surefire bet and pedigree with the manga behind you.
I mean, right now, like across like top TV series, it is tied 5th for best overall, and it's sitting along with Hunter x Hunter 2011, along with Bleach 1,000 Year Blood War.
What about AOT?
No, AOT is 4th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But it's just...
specifically Season 3, Part 2.
Right. But despite the fact that, in many ways, it's one of those surefire, safe bets, to still be like...
We trust Madhouse.
Yeah. I think this is like their coming out party. Like, maybe beforehand you heard murmurs of Madhouse here and there, coming back to town, hanging out with the boys, but you don't know for sure. Then all of a sudden, when you guys are hanging out, everyone is at some party, boom, doors open, you get Frieren, you get Madhouse, they walk in and everyone pauses and looks and welcomes back
Everyone
the old
just
vet.
stands up and just, round of applause,
Or
standing ovation,
they bow. That's how it goes,
even
right? The
better.
Yakuza style, yeah.
Respect, not applause, just straight up respect.
So
Don't put some shine on Madhouse. They are, I'm gonna go on a whim and say it. They're back.
Oh no, 100%. I think you can't look at what Frieren has done and not say that.
Yeah, you have to give credit where credit's due.
I'm so looking forward to what they're gonna do, because look at what they did, pre-Redline. I love Redline, but like even like all that pedigree. Think of like Satoshi Kon, Hosoda, Yuasa.
Yuasa did do some Madhouse
and
stuff.
Shinkai too. I think
Everybody's got some ties with Madhouse.
everyone who are like massive, influential anime, manga creators, whatnot. And don't forget, Mappa basically is Madhouse 2.0 in many ways. So Madhouse is like phenomenally crazy.
Yeah, actually, I almost forgot that both Kaiba and Catherine Sins were both, Yuasa and Madhouse.
Exactly, right? It's kind of crazy. Then to come back after falling out so hard, because mainly through like Red Line, I think we talked about being like the nail in the coffin, to then come back. And then with Sunny Boy, it was kind of like the first thing on my radar with that Madhouse has done. I mean, I think they have done like several things around that time, but I was just like, are they kind of back? Then when we heard about Frieren and then Madhouse were doing it, we were like, no way.
Yeah, like for a good period of time, Chihaya Furu, Hunter x Hunter, they did Spice and Wolf, Summer Wars. They also did Diamond of Ace. Parasite was them. No Game, No Life.
Parasite Maxim, right?
Yeah, Maxim. Yeah.
Wait, did they did Zero?
I think they did Zero as well. Yeah, No Game, No Life Zero. Yeah, they did.
Right.
Yeah. So, dude, they've been... and also, A Place for the Universe. That's also Madhouse.
Shit, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, this is a studio that, like, for the longest time was the studio, right? Like... And then after a while, like, people just kind of forgot about them. I think right after Chihaya Furu Season 3 came out, that was kind of it. I mean, there was Sunny Boy, Overlord 4, Tapped Up Destiny, Police in the Pod. There was also the movie Goodbye Don Glees that came out back in 2022. Actually, just last year. Hour and a half movie. But not a whole lot of like movements within the Madhouse side. And now that we actually have Frieren like propping Madhouse back at the top of the hill, I can only be thankful and hopeful that there's going to be more Madhouse productions down the road.
I mean, we grew up with Madhouse, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So there is that. And I think also the other thing to consider is all that stuff that you said. We also have to take into account that you and I, and probably the people listening to this podcast, are more dedicated followers of anime and manga rather than the general public. No throwing shade. It's just people follow different mediums at certain levels of fervor. It's all good. It's all great. But I think Fieren is something that made such a splash, just like Oshinoko for Doga Kobo and High Dive with Oshinoko as well. It just puts it on a map.
Yeah.
Everyone now knows Fieren, and then through that, they will know Madhouse. So it's just a very happy, positive reunion and return of a very well-established studio.
Yeah. I mean, like, for a long time, when you talked about One Punch Man, you talked about Madhouse. You don't talk about JC Staff.
No bum. I'm trying so hard not to say anything else.
Yeah.
But yes.
And let's be hopeful that the third season of One Punch Man is going to be good.
Okay, so
I do have one more thing I want to talk about, but I'll delegate to you first.
No, you can do that because I will. Okay, I'll go first. So this thing happened 2023. Of course, we're not saying all of our stuff that we're grateful for is only happening within this year, but we're trying our best to limit it to this year if possible, but we make the fucking rules, so whatever. But this anime did not come out in 2023. But it might sound weird, but I want to thank Crunchyroll. But specifically, the Crunchyroll Anime Awards for 2023 Anime of the Year, giving it to Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Yes, I love Cyberpunk Edge Runners. A lot of people love Cyberpunk Edge Runners. That's not like...
But to have the balls to be the Crunchyroll Anime Awards and give the best anime to a Netflix original...
Exactly.
Like, put some respect on that.
And you did it in Japan. So I mean, it's not like to say that a locale necessarily is a make or break situation.
But this was the first time they did an award where they had studio execs, producers, directors, and staff watching the awards.
Did they did it in Japan previously before? No, right?
No, well, for a few years it was all done digitally because COVID,
yeah. And that's the other thing. Post-COVID, like...
Their first awards back with in-person audience.
And say what you will about award shows, about even the Crunchyroll award nominees or winners. Like, say all you want about that. I mean, shout-outs to Giguk when he was streaming the awards and losing his we watched it live in an izakaya when we were... I mean, we're not going to say the location of the izakaya, but we were watching it live on my phone and losing our fucking minds when they announced it live that Cyberpunk Edge Runners won Anime of the Year. Because, yes, it is a Netflix exclusive, and you will never, unfortunately, well, theoretically, ever get that licensing right. But it's kind of like the Big Brother giving acknowledgement with its most grandest award. Say what you will about award shows, right? But it's still like a gesture of faith, of good faith, nonetheless, that is like, sure, you can say that the Crunchyroll Anime Awards is, of its relevancy, is maybe not there, but still, I think it is a very awesome gesture, a really nice gesture, and kind of is saying in another way, like, we want this award show to be about anime, not just the animes that are on Crunchyroll, right? It's kind of, in a way, yeah, you can be a bit pessimistic or cynical and be like, oh, it's trying to be overarching and trying to be bigger than it actually is.
But you have to look at it as a win for anime in general.
Yeah. It's fucking awesome that they did that.
It's literally, it's game recognizing game. Knowing that...
Yeah. That's such a good way to put it. Absolutely, right? It's like... And it's like their most coveted award. Imagine the Academy Awards giving it to like a film that is like never on anyone's expected win list, or you put it on there as a nomination because you just kind of want to give a nod, but it's never going to win. We all know that. You put Bocchi the Rock, not Bocchi the Rock. What was the other one? Like Licorice Recoil.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you put it on there, but like it's not going to win, right? It's going to be this or that, or you put Cyberpunk on there as like a nod, but you're not gonna say it's the winner, right? And then they're like, watch me just do what you said was impossible or like never gonna happen. And guess what? Despite what a lot of people feel about the Crunchyroll Anime Awards, I think a lot of people undoubtedly would say that they're talking about that win. Right? They would probably... I mean, what was it? The anime man just doesn't like the Crunchyroll Anime Awards. He even talked about that win.
I am going to say something contentious, possibly controversial. I would say that in terms of weebdom, in terms of the effect on anime, this win for Cyberpunk Edge Runners at the Crunchyroll Awards is more significant than Spirited Away winning the Oscars.
100%. No, like for real. Because you also have to understand the context of the Academy Awards and Miyazaki and everyone wanting that acknowledgement and then getting it. And then, okay, say what you will about the actual Oscars and Academy Awards, but it's kind of like, okay, you got what you wanted. You're never or like, the unfortunate saying of, okay, we gave Halle Berry the win for Monster, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, guys, shut the fuck up now. Okay, we gave the one to Denzel Washington for what was that, like, drug movie?
Was it Man on Fire?
No, Training Day, right? Man on Fire was still really good. But it's like they caved in and it's political, I get it. But it's kind of like, shut the fuck up now. We gave what you wanted, but whatever. But here it's like
within like recognized
recognized game,
anime professionals, execs, studios, and like the two biggest companies in anime with Netflix and Crunchyroll. Well, okay, I say Netflix as an anime thing. In this context,
yeah, we should say Netflix anime. I get you. Though.
It is significant
because you have to understand that regardless of how you feel about the industry or streaming platforms or companies, Crunchyroll is the most influential within that space. And then obviously Netflix has the reach, the money, the pull, and it does its own thing. Doesn't really do seasonal animes, although recently, at least for Hong Kong, they do simulcast, which is I love. It is such a ballsy thing because it's kind of like being inclusive.
Yeah,
and I love that.
And running off on that, I think that if we talked about this before, but gotta give special thanks to Netflix being legitimately the all-in-one solution when it comes to streaming, right? Like they have a very, very wealthy collection of documentaries, TV series, live action, and animated, and anime has never been better on Netflix than ever. So not to say that like you should pick Netflix over Crunchyroll, especially if you are hardcore weeb and you only watch anime, but if you are wanting everything under one roof, Netflix has just done well.
Yeah, it's the all-in-one solution rather than the specialized solution, right?
And it's a damn good choice.
I mean, think about Cyberpunk Edge Runners and then Pluto as their probably prominent Netflix exclusive. I think Komi Can't Communicate kind of half counts, and Uncle Isekai kind of half counts because, the whole like Netflix exclusive versus Netflix original anime, it's like a weird like distinction that even like we couldn't figure out exactly, but there is like an actual definite difference. But fucking they're fucking back again too with like Netflix exclusives.
It makes
My Happy Marriage.
It makes a very good argument for, hey, if you could only pick one subscription, it's Netflix.
Oh, Netflix exclusive animes have fallen off in terms of the titles. Well, guess what?
They're back.
We can't say shit for this year.
They're fucking back.
So, any other platforms or companies you kind of want to give a shout out?
We've covered them. Yeah, I'm just there's just a whole lot of thanks for all the ones we've mentioned.
Now, let me talk about let's go on to Netflix. Let's talk about Crunchyroll. Let's talk about High Dive. All of this as a medium. As anime and manga, Jump Plus, Manga Plus, all of this under one big roof as anime and manga as a medium. What am I grateful for? I am grateful for the growth of the community because think about the past couple of years, Sim being on the #1 Billboard chart. Think about Oshinoko breaking records for Spotify streaming. Yes, it's music related, but think about how much anime and manga has grown as like an accepted medium, especially in the West, right? Wasn't there like a Dragon Ball premiere, like GT, I think, or the one where they fight Brody?
Yeah,
and it was airing in like Spain, I
I think it was just called Dragon Ball Brody, right? Is that the series what it's called?
I'm not familiar. I'm super.
We're not DBZ friends. Yeah.
I'm super sorry about that, but they premiered it at like I think like a park or something, and it is just like filled. Like it looked like a rock concert of people just watching a movie or a premiere out in the public. I remember we never really reported on it, but I talked to Will about Kaiju number 8 being in a French subway advertisement.
Yep.
Then there was like these building like
don't even forget about what happened with Blue Lock as well, right?
yeah, like it's everywhere. It's now like a medium that is not only widely accepted, but it's kind of like, what was it? Netflix also like released a survey where like 50% of all of its users have at least watched one anime series. Let's talk about the Mugen Train effect. Let's talk about obviously Your Name from way back when, but still Suzume made a huge splash. Let's talk about Hosoda with Bell and getting a standing ovation. The acceptance of everyone with anime and manga as a medium. We can't call it it is a niche, but you can't call it a niche in the traditional sense anymore. Like you just can't. It's impossible.
Speaking of traditional, one thing that I'm very thankful for, we talked about a bunch of studios and companies and whatnot, but this is more the encompassing landscape for production companies and studios in general. No longer do we have strangleholds for top anime from Madhouse, from Cloverworks, from A1 Pictures, from Mappa. It has now officially become a very even playing field.
Or at least as even as it has ever been, right?
Let's just talk about this year in general for OLM. Of all fucking studios, they not only did fucking Oshinoko, they also got Apothecary Diaries happening right fucking now.
They did Komi Can't Communicate. They obviously did Summertime Render, yeah.
Dark Gathering got some pretty good results for summer as well. But there's also other studios that are just fucking crushing it as well, right? Like, for example, Toei Animation, when they brought back the Precure series, that was very, very popular that time. You had... what was it? Shitty Animations with the reversal for Dangers of My Heart. Like, it was doing real bad, and now it's sitting at an 8.25.
Takagi-san?
Yeah, dude. Like, and then this was the crazy one for summer, which tends to be a bit of a lull. You had Zanzigen for Bang Dream It's My Go. You had Bug Films for Psalm 100. Lapin Track for Undead Girl Murder Farce. Kamina Citrus for My Happy Marriage. And then the Masterful Cat is Depressed Again.
Horimiya Peace also with Cloverworks,
that one was
right?
Gohan's. Leiden Films doing pretty decently as well. JC Staff here and there. They're still doing good stuff. Doga Kobo.
I mean, Dokobo Oshinoko, that's it. Let's just...
Oh, sorry, yeah, Oshinoko was not it was Doga Kobo.
Yeah. So, like, even the little guys with High Dive, right, is still making strategic choices where it is, yes, it is odds are against you, but it's almost like an anime arc in of itself. Is like David versus Goliath. Like, I don't give a shit about if the odds are stacked against me. I'm still going to try my best to hustle and make it. And then also on the other side, Goliath, Crunchyroll is being like, yo, Netflix, we might be like adversaries, but we good. Like, let's sit down and have like a great dinner meal, and then let's go on the battlefield and fight each other afterwards, right? It's kind of like this thing where all of these things are like redemption arcs, revenge arcs, everything like that's happening behind the scenes is encapsulated with anime and manga tropes that I just think is like beyond crazy.
Another mention of a studio that is like punching well above their weights, and I'm glad that it's changing the landscape of production studios. Geek Toys with Dead Mount Death Play, like the goofiest fucking name for an anime studio, and they're pushing out some bangers.
I mean, I'll be honest, like Geek Toys sounds like some Funko Pop bullshit.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's just be real there, right? Like, give me your Beyblades. Like, oh, yeah. Geek Toys, right? No, I mean, I don't think Geek Toys own Beyblade at all. But, like, yeah. Let's also, game recognized game. We forgot about this. We should have, I'm double backing. The Witch from Mercury.
Yep.
Gundam. Yep. Probably the most dude, bro, long-running franchise Gundam is kind of putting money where their mouth is, and it's like, let's not only do female representation, but let's have them as like the main character. Say what you will about like maybe the content or how it's performing, because it is still performing extremely well, but it's just something of breaking of tradition in like in my opinion, a very positive sense. It's so ballsy.
The focus on female main characters is a very welcome one, because of the fact that it's not to say that we're trying to, change like gender dynamics and whatnot. I think it's been very, very clear that it's been a very male-driven industry. A lot of main characters for any series tend to be male. But
I mean, all those harem stuff is all geared towards dudes. Yeah. Let's just be real, right?
But now you've got Frieren, right? Apothecary Diaries.
You get reverse isekais that is more like, I guess, shoujo, female reader-oriented, right? I think my new boss is Goofy right now.
Heavenly Delusions.
Yeah.
Strong female character that was central to the whole series.
My new boss is Goofy, I think, was very popular in Japan for female readers, right? Things like that.
I mean, we gotta have a special mention for Skip and Loafer as well, right?
Absolutely. Right.
Ancient Magus' Bride, back again, right?
Yep.
You like, we welcome this.
Yeah,
we love strong characters, male or female.
But I think it's less about the gender as much as just good characters and good writing, right? But to me, the issue, or not the issue, the impact of The Witch from Mercury, I guess, is a very symbolic gesture, right? Because it is
historically.
Yes.
Historically, it's always been a male-centric main character.
Or any females are like damsel in distress trope, or are kind of put by the wayside. Or I think in Double O, the female was like the strategist, right? But it wasn't like front and center on the poster, like middle main character type thing.
It's no longer, that's my guy, it's my girl.
Yeah. And here's the thing also, props to Namco Bandai.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
My bad. They, rather than just saying, oh, we feature the first female protagonist in franchise history and just phone it in, they went all the way with it, with posters, with like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to kind of say that to get brownie points, but it's another thing to be like, okay, if we're going to do this, let's just do it right all the way with everything and give it the same treatment. So yes, it's the first female franchise, and yes, it does have brownie points, but we're going to give it the same treatment regardless. It just so happens that this would be the first female, and hopefully more to come, or a mixture. Who fucking knows, right?
I'm just welcoming any change to any medium, whether it's anime, manga, live action, whatever it may be. If the writing is good and you got the right people to do and represent those specific characters, I don't care what their gender is. I don't care what denomination they are. I don't care what affiliations or whatever sort of any kind of way of characterizing them. I'm just happy that this is a medium within anime and manga for us that we get to see change. It's no longer just fixated on the old traditional ways of doing anime and manga.
Which is really odd if you consider it's kind of the Japanese way of things is being traditional, is respecting your roots. And in this way, it's not like they're abandoning their roots either. It's kind of like respecting where you're coming from, but looking forward to see where you're going.
Knowing full well that you may also incur a lot of criticism from your own fan base when you change things too much.
And stumble along the way yourself and feeling bad about it. But then...
Because let's be real, right? Witch from Mercury definitely got a lot of criticism for the portrayal of a female main character.
Yeah.
But
you're going to get hate anyways,
but
right?
We don't give a fuck if you don't like that. Like, it's a fucking good character. It's a fucking good series.
Yeah.
I mean, arms up. Like, what's the hate for now? You can't hate on it. It's a good series. If you liked Gundam, you shouldn't care what gender your main character is.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah.
Any other thanks you want to give?
There is one before I get into show notes, but that's about it.
There's also one I have one to give, but you go first.
Hopefully it's not the same thing. Okay. I am grateful not to anime and manga. I'm grateful for the podcast, Will.
I'm grateful for you.
Listen, this ain't the end of this journey. Dear listeners, don't worry. But sometimes it's good to chill out and give thanks and give credit where credit is due. we went from episode 0 to now publishing over 100 episodes. We won't give like the inside baseballs too much, but
across all the BPs, ADs, and the EPs you're listening to.
So I am extremely grateful for the reception that we have been given, and there are a lot of you out there that probably won't show your face or show your voice or contact us, even though we do welcome it, good or bad. But we thank every single listener out there for listening on two dumbass dudes who just love anime and manga to bits and decided to just talk about it on the internet, right? So thanks. We do have a lot of stuff planned, massive changes per usual. And I'm also grateful for like the podcast having the ability to morph and evolve with, for example, our ASAP being extremely popular and receptive. And I think we were all very, like you and I were quite surprised. And I haven't even told you about the latest ASAP reception, which has been insane. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, Will. I know you're super busy with a lot of shit.
Thank you as well for managing a lot of the stuff whilst I, wither away with my current projects.
It is what it is, right? But you still manage to like come in every time we record.
I could not have asked for a better partner on this podcast. That's why my thanks is for you. The fact that, look, we came across as friends in the most unusual of circumstances.
It was fucking hilarious.
We were just playing board games. You happened to be there. I happened to be there. We were just putting together a ragtag team of people who wanted to play a board game. We really had no other reason to see each other afterwards other than to play board games. And then one day, you pull up your anime list.
No, it was you.
Me, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're on Mal? I was like, yeah, I'm on Mal. Yeah, what's up?
It was the first time I saw the Android Mal platform.
Oh, let me show you something. And then you pull up your Mal. It's like, so you're a weeb too, huh?
Yeah. And then it just kind of happened, and it kind of escalated in like a very positive sense, and here we are, right?
3 years on. Almost 3 years on, yeah.
Yeah, January 26th would be 3 years. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Actually, technically, it would have already been 3 years if it was pre-planning stages, right?
Yeah. So, damn. Let's keep this shit going.
And I will tease a little bit. I know we probably should tease it at the season finale, but let's just say
Stop honking.
Yeah. But there will be voices that are not just Will and I.
They're not just in our heads.
Yeah, and you will hear these voices soon.
We have a lot of new content we want to come up with. We have a lot of new formats for the content. We are going to be testing the waters, and we're going to be making sure that no matter what we present, what we record, that we fully entertain every single one of you.
And we are extremely grateful for you guys putting in your headphones, your ear pods, or if like you're sleeping or whatever, or
on
doing
your
work,
drive to and from work, to school,
commute, whatever, like a wide range of age groups and places, right? We thank all of you.
I think that's probably the best way to summarize this episode. Damn. Yeah. If it weren't for y'all, we wouldn't be doing this.
Absolutely. And we are eternally grateful for that. Both to Will and I, thank you so much. And just to be, again, very clear, this is not a farewell. This is merely an idle standby to give thanks, and then we keep going. Okay, just want to be clear because our next fucking episode is the season finale, so it's going to be hardcore at that point.
We got a lot of stuff coming up for season 7.
So we are grateful that you are listening now to my housekeeping script portion of the podcast. You can always reach us through our email, gapalette@gmail.com. That's GAPALETTE, all lowercase, all one word. Using the handle @PaletteGood, that's capital P and capital G, all one word, or through our GAP Discord server using the invite link in the show description. We have a website. We encourage you to check it out, www.goodanimepalette.com, all lowercase, all one word. Music credits for this episode. Our intro music is Never or Right Now by ELFL. Our break music is Not Gonna Wake Up, the instrumental version by Mindme. And our outro music is Like the Ocean by The Big Letdown. You can always support the music artists that we feature by listening to them on Spotify, Apple Music, or other various music listening platforms, and our royalty-free music was provided by Epidemic Sound. If you're interested, you can sign up using the referral link in our show description. Terms and conditions apply.
We gave a lot of thanks in this episode, and I'm very grateful that we were finally able to do an episode where we don't even just actually like talk about watching anime or reading manga or whatnot. We're just recollecting all the good memories that anime and manga have given us and giving, the appropriate thanks to the respective people, mediums, properties, anyone that's connected to the industry.
I mean, I don't know about you, Will, but for me, every time around this time of year, I would tend to be more like look back on that year. I think a lot of it's a very common thing, right? So, or usually around this time, I think a lot of people would take a look back, that kind of thing. And we thought, hey, even though we can't have we could technically have American Thanksgiving, but like if we can't be in America, let's just give thanks.
Well, we also do Thanksgiving in Canada too. It's just in October.
Yo, what would be on the menu for anime Thanksgiving? Like dishes. Like what would be anime centric dishes?
Yeah, for me,
like whether the ingredients is from an anime or
my
something.
starter would be, I know what my dessert would be.
Okay.
The dance sequence from Skip and Loafer.
All right. Okay. All right. Would you get Shogugeki no Soma people to do Thanksgiving dinner?
No, I would get them to provide the entertainment.
I will get Restaurant from Another World to do the dinner preparations. I would get Shogeki no Soma to hang out with while the dinner's being made.
I would go for a 12-course meal that's presented in the format of Oshinoko, and that is just a straight-up roller coaster of flavors and emotions.
Would glow sticks be provided?
Well, I mean, not necessary, but this is an anime Thanksgiving, so might as well throw some glow sticks in there.
Absolutely. Okay, so before we go off and sign off for this episode, next episode is our finale episode. So it's going to be a drunk fest for 3 hours. And Will and I are just going to have like an awesome time. Hopefully by then my more setup would be a bit more, well equipped.
I've got my special segment ready for you as well.
Oh shit, really?
Yep.
Nice.
Already done.
Let's fucking go, bro.
So, from us at the Good Anime Palette Podcast to you, the listeners, and anybody else who just happens to come across this, thank you very much for listening to this.
どうもありがとう。